Good afternoon, everybody. Since Giles has already introduced me, I'll skip right into my presentation. So Caribbean Sea is an NGO in St. Lucia that has been established since 2004, and we focus on education with youth and communities on natural resources, sustainable land management, as well as conservation of energy. But our focus here today is on water, because we do focus on water quite a bit. As you can see on my slides, I have some photographs of St. Lucia. We think of St. Lucia's tagline used to be St. Lucia Simply Beautiful, right? All right. With my schools, we have environmental clubs at several schools, and I have the students do a lesson where I tell them clear water does not mean clean water. And the students go ahead and they do water sampling using a test kit that we have. But first, I want you to take a look at the water samples that I have on the table, if you could see them. I have 5 water samples that I took on Sunday this week. Stream, river, bottled water, seawater, and from a stream. I want you to, very quickly, in 30 seconds, rank in your mind which one do you think is the cleanest down to the dirtiest. So I'll just give you 30 seconds to rank from the cleanest to the dirtiest water sample. It's difficult, right? You can rank only based on what you can see, what you cannot see. And just for the viewers online, I have a picture of it as well. What you cannot see is the bacteria that is in the water. So to teach the lesson, I use a simple test kit that tests for bacteria, and this test kit focuses on bacteria from the intestines of mammals called fecal coliform bacteria. On the slide, on the screen, you will see some plates, some petri dishes. The test kit comes with the petri dish, sterile petri dish, as well as a sterile pipette that you use to take your water sample. You pour it into your petri dish, into your gel, and then you pour it into the petri dish. And within 24 to 48 hours, you have bacteria growing, and it looks like what's on the screen. As you can see, I'm not sure if it is that clear. From our water samples, the stream water and the river water are our 2 dirtiest water samples. And the bacteria that is showing up on the screen, even though the stream looks cloudy and the river looks clear, the river water actually has a lot more bacteria than the stream. So to rank the water samples, bottled water will be the cleanest, followed by actually our seawater in this instance, then the spring water, the stream, and then the river. Did anybody get that correct? It's difficult to do just by visualization. But if you test for what's in the water, you can use this test kit. What I want you to recognize in St. Lucia is that we are a destination island. We sell ourselves as sand, sea, and sun. This test kit is available online. It's very cheap. It's $10.99 US for a home test kit, which comes with 10 of these samples, 10 of these tests. And visitors are actually doing their own tests. And they're recording the results, they're reporting the results on TripAdvisor, on discussion blogs. So we're doing our water sampling here to ensure that our waters meet recreational standards, but we want to ensure that we improve our water quality because we do have some problem areas. We're not hiding our results. We're trying to show persons, the public, what the results are, and then to improve on what the water quality is in the areas that it doesn't meet the standard. And I would like to invite you if you have any questions.
Nadia says bottled water. Well, I know of experiments when the bottled water is on the opposite side. So not all bottled water is safe water either. So the point is that a lot of our waters around are not as potable as we think they are, and you cannot judge by eye, a sense of sight, and that's the sense most of us use to make decisions. Questions, Nadia? Dr. Murray?
Thanks, Giles. Appreciate the work you're doing with young people. I do some of this stuff myself, but I was concerned. When I made my ranking, I put the spring water first. But I tell you my concern, your bottled water, have you tested this bottled water before, or you just assume that because it's bottled water it is? Because I had an experience while I was a student where one gentleman actually sold bottled water to supermarkets, but he was just filling it from a tap behind his house until the caught. I'm serious. And it's the large supermarket, they have to pull all the water off the shelf, right? And this happened in the United States. So I'm skeptical of bottled water until I have somehow proven them. So what would be your recommendation?
Okay, so as Mr. Romulus said, some bottled water, you do get bacteria growing in it. And Caribbean Sea is not an agency, a certified lab. We do this this is a home test kit. In the US, this is approved by the US Environmental Protection Agency that you can purchase online and test the water at your home. And if it indicates that you have bacteria, if you see the bacteria growing, it's above the standard. Anyway, potable water should have 0 bacteria growing. Then you notify our equivalent of environmental health, and they do further tests at an accredited lab. But for the 5 years that I have been doing this, we always use a bottled water sample or a tap water sample because we need to show students that it's not the gel that's contaminated, it's the water that's added to it that's contaminated. But for the 5 years I've been doing this, when I test bottled water, I have tested all the bottled water that we have produced in St. Lucia, and I have never had any bacteria grow in our bottled water. Remember, this only tests for bacteria and not anything else like chemicals. I have tested 1 bottled water sample sold in St. Lucia that's imported that did grow bacteria though. So for my personal use, persons always ask me, so which water should I be drinking? I personally drink the Wasco tap water that's filtered. I filter it afterwards.
That was my question. Why didn't you have tap water there?
Okay, so our GEF project, we're focusing on groundwater. So if I did use tap water, Wasco treats the tap water with chlorine, it's going to kill the bacteria. You will see the plate as clear as the bottled water sample plate.
So you recommend tap water as being safe to drink?
I can't tell you for every area, but for my area that I have tested it quite a bit, I can tell you that my waters, I use tap water, but I filter it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Singh. You have samples of river water, spring, and other samples of water bottle. But will you, let's say if you collect a sample of, let's say, river water in Soufrière compared to Dennery and Castries, will you find the number of bacteria different, vary as from Castries, Dennery, or maybe Vieux-Fort or Choiseul?
We have
What sample, where that sample is taken, in Soufrière area or the Castries area?
I will.
Maybe you don't have to release it.
I will not say
I just
where
want to know
the samples. All of them taken in St. Lucia. But for the river samples, we have done just driving around in the day, collecting water samples from various rivers around the island, and the number of bacteria do vary. I have tested 1 river in St. Lucia, and I will say that one, the Asivoin River, that's before Hurricane Thomas, and we send the samples to CARFA, so not even our home test kit at an accredited lab, and the results show that it had less than 1 bacteria, which means it's close to potable as you can get. But in other areas, there's astronomical numbers of bacteria in some of our rivers because of the activities taking place along the riverbank and the discharge areas or tributaries flowing into the river.
Because I was asking the question because it has to do with the environment, how well you safeguard the environment, you know, like garbage disposal and other waste. So the bacteria will definitely vary from, let's say, a more populated area than a less populated area, or more industrial area than a less industrial.
Yes.
Okay.
So based on the activities taking place in the watershed, you would have varying levels of bacteria based on what is happening and being discharged into the river. So our GEF project is actually working on improving water quality in a micro watershed in Soufrière, that's the Wavinclair area. We're trying to improve the springs and a stream in the area. I'll just say a little bit more. We did some testing of some of the springs, and we did find in one of the springs that we tested for chemicals, organophosphates, we got some malathion, parathion, some chemicals residue that come from agrochemicals, and some of these are potentially carcinogenic. So we're raising the flag here that some of our spring water is contaminated from agrochemicals and it's possibly carcinogenic. So we're trying to improve one of the springs in the area to provide safer water, spring water down to for the community.